All right, thank you, Christina. So what's going to happen to the royal family and its wealth? We saw King Charles speaking the first time as a king, talking about today about the family, identifying Prince Harry as the Prince of Wales, which King Charles was for some 5 decades. King Charles now apparently has a plan to pare down the family. What does that mean? Will some get booted from the palace? And if so, whom? As we heard, who will benefit the most? Let's talk about this. Joining us right now, Dean of the Miami Herbert Business School, John Quelch, and Jacquie Jordan, a global entertainment expert. John, give me your feel. I mean, I have to point out the fact that we just saw the king speak, and one of the things he said in establishing the line of succession, if you will, he said he expressed his love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas. Does that mean that they don't have a position within the royal family now?
Not necessarily at all. First of all, it's very important to note that he spoke to the global community, not just to the citizens of the United Kingdom, but to the citizens of the 54 Commonwealth nation members, and included in that the 14 other countries that count the Queen, now King Charles, as the head of state. And the monarchy is an international institution in a broadly defined sense, and as a result, there is plenty of opportunity for contributions from members of the royal family, no matter where they happen to be based. And so I would imagine that there would be potentially a role for Harry and Meghan, and I think it would be a lost opportunity if that were not the case.
John, give me a feel for what the role is of the king now. I think to a lot of Americans, they look at the role of previously the Queen and now the King, certainly understanding the tradition in Britain, but not understanding actual power that position has. Is it all symbolic? And if it's not, where does that power come from?
The United States has a written constitution where the president, duly elected, is the head of state. In the United Kingdom, as a constitutional monarchy, the head of state is the king. That does not mean that the democratically elected prime minister is not the principal political operative each day, but it does mean that the king, the monarch, acts as a backstop in the case of a crisis. That's something that is a very precious and treasured element of the British constitutional system.
Okay, Jacquie, give me your feel for the king spoke a little over an hour ago. He spoke for 10 minutes. He mentioned Harry and Kate. I should say William and Kate. He mentioned Harry and Meghan, and he mentioned Camilla, with whom as he made very clear, they've been married 17 years now. Time flies. What was your read into that speech itself?
Well, Bob, great question, but you left me still at they're exempt from the 40% inheritance tax moment. So let me just pull myself up from that. I thought that King Charles III's speech was actually fantastic. As someone who writes public speeches for many people, I thought it was well written, well delivered, and sensitive, on point, and he took ownership of the crown. I don't think he was a very popular prince. But having heard this speech today, I actually think, he may make a really good king.
Yeah, in fact, let's take a look at the line of succession, if we could bring that up. He does ascend to the throne, having waited for, I guess, 50 years. His mom, the longest running monarch, the longest reigning monarch, I should say, at over 70 years, which is remarkable, John. Give me your feel for if there are any changes you're seeing in this diagram or in power that you read anything into.
I don't think so. I think the line of succession is very well established, and that has been the case for several hundred years. What is, I think, interesting is that he did go out of his way to acknowledge Camilla, William and
Yes, he did. I
Catherine,
thought
but
that was
also
nice.
made sure to acknowledge Harry and Meghan as well.
Yeah, I thought the sentiments
Yeah,
were really nice too, that he acknowledged. Both,
yeah.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
Queen
Go ahead with
consort.
that, Jacquie.
Yeah, I just thought it was
Jacquie, hang on a second. Go ahead. I think there's a little delay. Go ahead.
He was on point. I think he acknowledged the Queen consort, which I thought was, and he acknowledged every member of the family. And speaking to the line of succession, we know that Prince William has been groomed for it. I think it's really fascinating to see Prince Charles, now King Charles III, and Prince William, who have devoted their life to it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see the mark that King Charles makes, because he's been the observant heir in succession for quite a long time. We didn't even know if this day would come for him, let alone for the rest of us. So I think it will be really interesting, and he's talking about leaning it out.
Yeah, I wonder if he becomes more popular, as you're saying. I think that if you look at the polls, it showed that she had a popularity of like 68% and only unfavorable by 11 or 12. And with Prince Charles, it was only like 34% positive, and just the opposite as far as being negative, it seems. What would make that change, Jacquie?
Well, you know, when Queen Elizabeth, I think one of her most unpopular times was the death of Princess Diana. I think because, you know, she had that very stoic English response to the death, you know, with the sense of, you know, you don't show your feelings, you keep everything public state, which was a wrong move for the changing times. What King Charles did today was he did exactly the opposite, as he went right in and acknowledged the feelings, his own personal feelings, the feelings of that of his family, and the grief that many in the whole planet are experiencing at this time, and he was spot on with that.
Yeah, and of course that was a problematic time anyway, because Princess Diana, they had divorced, and a lot of public disruptions to the family. Jacquie, John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.